Oh, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, tracted by Zarah, page 9a, and we were in the middle of an idea, so let's go back to Avodah Zarah 8b. Ready. Bottom of 8b. See. The Gemara, my Ushmonim, Vesulo, Ve'atanya Rabbi Yossi Barabi. The Gemara returns to the earlier comment of Rabbi Ishmael in the name of his father, Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, that the Roman Empire ruled over Israel 180 years before the Second Temple was destroyed. The Gemara asks, did Rome rule over Israel 180 years before the destruction of the Temple and no more? But didn't Rabbi Yossi the Great, meaning Rabbi Yossi ben Chalaf himself, teach? And now we are on the top of 9a. Malchus paras b'fnei habayis shloishim v'arba shana. Malchus yavam nebayis mea shmoyim shana. Malchus chashmonoi b'fnei habayis mea v'shalosh. Malchus beis hudus mea v'shalosh. Mikan ve'elach tzevachashov kama shanim achalachu habayis. The Persian Empire, which ruled the world before the construction of the temple, continued to do so for 34 years in the presence of the temple, meaning after the temple was built. The Greek Empire ruled for 180 years in the presence of the temple. The Hasmonean dynasty ruled for 103 years in the presence of the temple. And the Herodian dynasty likewise ruled for 103 years. From this point forward, you can go and calculate the date on which an event occurred by how many years it happened after the destruction of the temple. Allah, we see. According to this statement from Yossi, evidently, when the Greek rule over the Jewish people ended and the Roman rule began, it was 206 years before the Second Temple was destroyed. Meaning, the two sets of 103 years of the Hasmonean dynasty and the Herodian dynasty. But you said that when the Roman Empire stretched forth over Israel and ruled over them, it was 180 years before the temple was destroyed. This is not a contradiction, but rather it proves that for 26 years, the Romans stood faithfully with the Jewish people, honoring their agreement, and did not subjugate them. And therefore, Rabbi Ishmael, son of Rabbi Yossi, does not count these 26 years among the total years in which the evil Roman Empire stretched forth over Israel and ruled over them. Amar Pope, Itai Haitana, Viroyada Pradikama, Lishela Eshali, Lisafro, Kama Kasi, Vinisbelayu Eslinchinin, Umashkak Lele Chumre, Visionech Ze Li Esrim Shana, Anochi Bevetecha. Apropos the above Braita, the Gemara relates that Rav Papa said, if this Tana, meaning one who dates years in reference to the destruction of the temple, forgot and did not know the details of the date with regard to exactly how much time had passed since the destruction of the temple. For example, he remembered the century but could not recall the exact decade and year. Let him ask a scribe who writes official documents, how many years he writes, and he writes when he dates the documents. The dating system of scribes uses as its starting point the beginning of the Greek rule, 380 years before the destruction of the temple, and let him add 20 years to the number, and in this manner he will find his number. And your mnemonic to remember this verse, and your mnemonic to remember this is the verse, these 20 years I have been in your house. Genesis 31:41. That's what Jacob said to Laban. Itai Safra Nishale Tane Kamechashiv Olevatzar Minayo Eskin Shinin Umashakach Lelechumre Tisimanech Safra Betzira Tana Tosva'a. Similarly, if a scribe forgot the exact year, let him ask the Tana how much time he calculates has passed since the temple's destruction, and he should deduct from the number 20 years, and in this manner he will find his number. And your mnemonic to remember that the Tana adds 20 to the date of the scribe, whereas the scribe deducts 20 from the number of the Tana, is as follows. A scribe deducts while a Tana adds on. This is a play on the phrase Tana Tosfa'a, which also means to teach the Tosefta, the practice of a Tana. Tana Develiyahu Sheshet Alafim Shana Ha'olam Shnei Alafim Toyu Shnei Alafim Toira Shnei Alafim Yimos HaMashiach In relation to the discussion on the calculation of years, the Gemara states that one of the sages of the school Eliyahu taught the world is destined to exist for 6,000 years. For 2,000 years, the world was waste, as the Torah had not yet been given. The next set of 2,000 years are the time period of the Torah. The last set of 2,000 years are the period designated for the days of the Messiah. But due to our many sins, there are those years that have been taken from them, meaning such and such years have already passed and have been taken from the 2,000 years that are designated for the Messiah, and the Messiah has not yet arrived. Okay, whenever a Tana taught his Braita, he would insert the number of years that was correct for his time. Shnei alafim toira meimas, inei manmatim toira hashta lekkulihai. Dichi mayanat behu tre alfei prati dahayan behu dehavai. The Gemara asks, with regard to the 2,000 years of the time period of the Torah, from when are they counted? If we say that they started from the giving of the Torah until now, then there is not enough time for all of these years. As when you examine the calculations, it is evident that from the creation of the world until the giving of the Torah, there were 2,000 years plus a part of this 3,000, as the Torah was given in the year 2448. It was given 2,448 years after the creation of the world. This would mean that the time period of the Torah encroaches upon the days of the Messiah. Ela mi besanefesh asher aso be'acharan ukemirit Avraham be'ahishata bar chamshin betartei hava Rather, the 2,000-year time period of the Torah is counted from the time when it is stated about Avram and Sarah and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, Genesis 12, verse 5, which is interpreted by the sages as referring to the men and women who were brought closer to the Torah by Abraham and Sarah. Therefore, it was at this point that the Torah began to spread throughout the world, and it is learned as a tradition that at that time Abraham was 52 years old. Kama batzran miditanitana arbamia v'arbainu tmanaya shenin habiyan kimayan nat be mehanefesh asher asu becharan ad matan Torah arbamia v'arba'in utamnia shenin habiyan. How many years are missing from the 2,000-year period of the Messiah, if the period of Torah that is taught by the Tana is counted from the giving of the Torah? There are 448 missing years. When you examine the calculation from the time when it is stated by Avram and Sarah, the souls that they had gotten in Haran, until the time of the giving of the Torah, there are 448 years. Amar Papa Itaitana V'lo yadavra Dekamihavel L'shalayisa V'kamat K'tiv V'nitafe Alayhu Arba'in V'tamni U'mashkaf Le'lechome V'simanai. With regard to this bright as well, Rav Papa said, if a Tana meant to state that at his time such and such years were already lost from the 2,000 years that are designated for the days of the Messiah, but he forgot and did not know the details of exactly how much time had passed, let him ask a scribe how many years he writes when he dates documents, and let him add 48 to the number, correcting for the century, and in this manner he will find his number. And your mnemonic for this is the verse, and now we're turning to 9b, Testament base, Arba'im Ushmona Ir. Ita Sofer Nishai Latana Kamatan Kitani, Vinitza Vinaya Balim Ushmone, Mushakah Leilachom Simanech Sofer Bitsira, Tana Tosafa'a. 48 cities, Numbers 35 verse 7. Similarly, if a scribe forgot the exact year, let him ask the Tana, how many years does he teach have already been lost from the 2,000 years that are designated for the days of the Messiah? And he should deduct 48 years from the number, correcting for the century, and in this manner he will find his number. And your mnemonic to remember that the Tana must add to the date of the scribe, while the scribe must deduct from the number of the Tana is, again, a scribe deducts while the Tana adds on. Safra Betzira Tana Tosva'af. Amar Ravuna B'Ed Rav Yehoshua. Ravuna son Rav Yehoshua says, Hayman Delo Yada Kama Shnei B'Shvuahu Med. נתאפה חד שעתה ונחשוב כללי ביובלי ופרטי בשבועי. Rav Huna, the son of Yehoshua, says, in the case of one who does not know which year of the 7-year sabbatical cycle he stands in, he should add 1 year to the years that have passed since the destruction of the temple in order to begin at the start of a sabbatical cycle, and he should calculate the general years, meaning the centuries, as jubilee cycles, as every jubilee concludes 7 completed sabbatical cycles of 49 years, and the details as sabbatical cycles, meaning he should divide the remaining years into 7-year sabbatical cycles. V'nishkol mimeatre v'nidei aparte v'nachshavinu לפרטי בשבועי וידע כמה שני בשבועי סימנך כי זה שנתיים הרעב בקרב הארץ. But as the Jubilee year itself is counted as 1 year of the sabbatical year, he should take from every 100 years. Oh, wait a minute. It says the Jubilee is counted. Itself is counted. It's according to Rabbi Yehuda. I thought there was machlokos about that. Okay, anyway, they're saying here that a Jubilee year is counted as 1 year of sabbatical cycle. Yeah, I naturally thought that. He should take from every 100 years that pass 2 years and add it to the details, meaning the remaining decades in single years. And then he should calculate with the details by dividing them into sabbatical cycles. And from the remainder, he will know how many years in the current sabbatical cycle have passed. And your mnemonic that 2 years must be deducted from every century is the following verse. For these 2 years, the famine has been in the land. That's what Joseph said, I think, to the brothers, from Genesis 45 verse 6. It was certainly during that time. I think he said it, but yeah. Amar Chanina, Achar Arba Meos Kurban Bais. Im Yomar Lecha Adam Kach Sadeh Shave 1,000 dinarim bedinar echad lo tikach. B'matnita Tanam Achar 4,231 shana lebriyat olam. Im Yomar Lecha Adam Kach Lecha Sadeh Shave 1,000 dinarim bedinar echad al tikach. My benayu, ika benayu, telat shenin, dimatnita tafya, telat shani. Hashda dahavikativ bed. There was a certain promissory note in which it was written. Okay, all right. So Rabbi Hanina says, after the year 400 from the destruction of the temple, if a person says to you, purchase a field that is worth 1,000 dinars for 1 dinar, do not purchase it. It is not a worthwhile investment, as the redemption will soon come, and all fields will revert to their original owners. After the year 400 from the destruction of the temple, purchase a field. Yeah, totally not relevant. Everyone's buying fields today. It was taught in Braita after the year 4,231. 4:231. From the creation of the world, if a person says to you, purchase a field that is worth 1,000 dinars for 1 dinar, do not purchase it. The Gemara asks, what is the difference between these two cities? The Gemara answers, there is a difference between them of 3 years, as the Braita adds 3 years. The year 400 from the destruction of the temple corresponds to the year 4228, the creation of the world. And the Gemara starts the story, Yehoshua, the Kesive, that will have to continue tomorrow. Right. The Gemara relates there was a certain promissory note in which it was written to be continued. I mean, it wasn't written to be continued, but I'm saying to be continued.